Hi, I'm Maggie Miner of Maggie Miner Designs. I'm here today with Jen Ailey of Jen Ailey Designs. And we're here to talk to you about entrepreneurship and creatives and how those come together. And also how all the new technologies that are coming along have helped us build our businesses, or build particularly Jen's business, for success. So Jen has a really interesting model that she is a life coach and has been a life coach for many years. And on top of that, she also has a jewelry design business, and they have a really interesting way of intersecting. So we're going to talk about that today. But first of all, let's start off with how you came to be a life coach.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I was teaching English as a foreign language in Central America, and I was at an airport in Costa Rica. I was teaching Honduras. I was there for a conference in Costa Rica, and I was waiting in line. There was no line at the Delta counter.
Yeah.
Nobody working there, and it was just me and the woman waiting, and we're like, "What's up?" And we started talking, and she was a life coach, and what she said that it was that she helps people's dreams come true. And I was like, "That's a job." And so I did more research, and I found out that I saw it as the best part of teaching concentrated.
Because you were a teacher before.
I was a teacher,
Right.
for many years, and so I was really blown away by the concept of that being my job. And then I went to a training later that year with Martha Beck. In 2003.
So define for us what a life coach is. What do you think a life coach is?
The simplest way I've ever heard it explained and is really like a coach, like the old-fashioned carriage coach that helps you get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, sometimes you have to figure out what's blocking you in your mind and your life, and move forward with things, to overcome limiting beliefs, to really just have the courage and have somebody who believes in you to move forward, help you move forward. Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about your mentor, Martha Beck.
Yeah, Martha Beck is a pioneer in the coaching field. She's been doing it probably for over 25 years. She's written multiple books. One of her first coaching books that I was trained in was Finding Your Own North Star, which is her own inner compass. And she's written so many books, and she's a go-getter. She's written for Oprah Magazine for many years. She has a lot of humor and boldness in her writing and her coaching as well. And she was really influential. She helped me learn to be in my body and how to be in touch with my feelings, and I had never had that before at that point. So it was really a huge part of my life.
So when you first started out, was it kind of for yourself, and then it became for other people?
Was
it both?
I didn't know that it was going to be for myself. I thought I was just going to go be this life coach.
Right.
And I had already hired a coach, so I was experiencing it. But I had a lot of I didn't know I wasn't in my body. I didn't know I wasn't feeling. I was always thinking. She'd be like, "What do you feel?" I'd be like, "Ah, la, la." I was so in my head, and I was so academia was my world before that. I had a master's degree. I was teaching in college, in my 20s, and so academia, it was all thinking. And I had done art before too. But that was still academic art. You know, you had to think about it. You had to say your artist statement, all those kinds of things. And so it was a new world for me that I had entered by going into her coaching program.
So what would you say are some of the popular misconceptions about life coaches? Because, I mean, that was 10 years ago?
No, 15? It was 13 years ago.
13 years ago. I mean, back then it was life coach.
Nobody had heard of it then.
It's gotten a lot better, but I think there's still a lot of misconception out there. So.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because a lot of people are life coaches who haven't had training, and I don't think necessarily everybody has to have training, but I think that, I don't know. I'm not sure what misperceptions are because I've just
other people.
Yeah, because I've been in this world for so long now. I don't even know.
It's normal to you.
Yeah. I think people don't know what it is, and you know what? I think that if people haven't actually experienced life coaching from a person who's really impactful for them, I think that they don't know what it is. They might think they know what it is, but with my clients, they go into the session with certain things or certain fears, whatever, and they come out okay, and they move to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like, it really is amazing.
Yeah.
What happens in coaching.
Yeah, it's really like a course in self-awareness. I mean, would you say?
It's beyond
like,
that,
yeah.
though. Because it's
Okay.
not, it's like, it's I mean, the way I work, I use so many tools that it's self-awareness, it's self-forgiveness, it's shifting judgment into choice and action. It's transforming a lot of things that we take for granted. We just are in our thing about the way we think, the way we believe, the way we see things, and we don't see outside of that.
Yeah.
And so it just has another perspective. Like, oh, well, you don't have to believe that. You don't. Let me ask you a question about that statement.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize I believed this thing, but it's not a therapy session because it's not about. You know, just your childhood or whatever. It's like, what's here now? What are you saying? How do you move forward? I mean, not that we don't refer to childhood or something.
Yeah.
But
would you agree with the statement that life coaching is changing your beliefs so that you can move forward and make your life what you believe?
Partly.
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of times people have goals they want to accomplish. They want to write that book. They want to, you know, lose the weight, whatever it is they want to do, or increase their income in their business, or start a business.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it, or they don't know how to do it, or they know how to do it, but they're not doing it. And so it's helping them along the way to get there.
Okay.
Yeah. And it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. I know from personal experience, actually. All right. Well, let's move on to your jewelry, because we're both wearing some of your jewelry today. Mine's, like, hidden, and it's very popular. And so when did you start becoming a jewelry designer?
Yeah, so, let's see here, actually, this month is my 5th show at this one show, 5th year. So it's been about 5.5 years since I started. And when I first started, I was living in Hawaii. I was teaching college there, English, and I wore some earrings into the ocean. They tarnished, and my favorite earrings.
Like real earrings, or
no, they were little chintzy $4 earrings from Bali.
Yeah.
And I wore them into the ocean, and they tarnished, and I was so bummed because they looked nasty. And my friend was like, "Oh, I can help you replace the metal." They're just little shells, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so, she showed me how to do the metal working, and I did some of it, and I broke one of the shells. I was so bummed because they're my favorite earrings.
Yeah.
And so then I went to the bead store.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's this tiny little bead store on Maui. It's the bead store. You know, like the college, you know, everything was like the one thing. And then I started grading papers at the cafe next door to the bead store. And so then I
subconsciously,
No, very consciously. I was like,
okay.
okay, I'm gonna bribe myself. It's a coaching technique, actually. It's okay, I'm gonna bribe myself to go grade papers, and I'm gonna look forward to the cafe, hanging out there, outside near the coast, and then I'm going to go to the bead store afterwards and reward myself. So that's what I did on Sundays. I would go grade papers and buy beads. So then I didn't have my own tools because I didn't really have time to make jewelry at the time.
Yeah.
Or I didn't make time. And so I had this big plan when I left Hawaii. I was going to get my own tools when I got to the mainland, and I did, and I got more beads, and I took a few months off from teaching and everything, and I just made jewelry. And I just, like, consumed me. And everybody in my life was like, can you make this? Can you take this and make this? And da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then I had my first show 5 years ago, and people just came up and bought stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is
wow.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, I realized what it was about for me. I had used gemstones before. I was a Reiki master in 2003, so I did all that energy work and stuff. And I did Reiki on my gemstones obsessively then.
Okay.
You know. And
so you do Reiki on your gemstones now, or?
I do. I don't do it as much, honestly, as I used to, because I used to have this certain sort of thing that I do, and now I just, like, you know, but I do it, and especially if people want me to.
Yeah.
And I saw it as this tool because the gemstones have so much history and meaning in them, and the way they were formed in the earth, what they're made out of, like how they were used and historically. You know, there's so many different ways to look at the meaning of them, and to carry that with us throughout the day is such a powerful tool. So that's the way I started seeing it. And I started seeing people being drawn to certain gemstones and they would just keep being drawn to the same one across the room or something too. Like just it's really cool how that happens.
And do they generally fit their personality, like things you can see, or is it under the surface, do you think?
Well, I think sometimes especially with gemstones that are for focus or grounding, I can kind of see it matches their personality.
Yeah.
That'd be like pyrite or jasper.
Okay.
Or actually the bottom stone you're wearing is related quartz. That's for focus.
Oh, okay.
That's really balanced because the top is amethyst, so that's like more of an intuition, healing vibe. And then the related quartz is like more energy and focus. So it's kind of a nice balance. So yeah, so it's really fun, you know, to see what people want. And this is, I'm wearing turquoise, and actually I'm wearing related quartz too.
Oh, okay.
Dial quartz is also called. It's clear with a little bitty gold flecks in it. You can't probably see it from the camera, and this is turquoise. Which is used by so many cultures for so many things. It's for protection, expression, luck, you know, and there's all kinds of different kinds of turquoise, and so that's really fun too. And actually, one book that I have, it says to wear it on your solar plexus, so it's kind of cool that I was doing that.
So,
today.
do you ever have people come in and you like recommend a certain stone for them because they're having a problem in their life?
If people come in asking for that, absolutely. Yeah, I'll research. We'll figure it out. It might even be a certain combination for them of things to help balance things.
Yeah, so I'm a super focused person, you know this. Like, it's like a strength and a weakness.
Yeah.
Because I get so focused, I forget about everything else.
Right.
So what kind of stone would you recommend for someone who's, you know, like me?
You know, the first thing I thought of was jasper. Because jasper has a grounding energy, but it also has a lightweight kind of energy. It's about courage. It's about help with transition. You know, we're all going through a lot of change right now, so that could be good. And there's a great like orangey red one that would look really good on you too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and with your hair, like
you gotta counterbalance.
With your hair though, I would say any kind of blue.
You gotta go big.
Blue though too.
Oh, I love blue.
Blues. Yeah, that would be nice on you too.
Yeah.
Cool.
So do you believe that stones have the ability to heal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me more about that.
You know, it's just a feeling that I have. You know, I sleep with stones sometimes. I have like big chunks of smooth malachite that I sleep with, and they help me sleep.
Where do you put them?
I hold them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I hold them, or I put them in my pillow. I don't recommend sharp stones. I've been there before. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
I'm looking with like sore on my arm.
Yeah.
But in general, you know, there are certain things, you know, and actually I sleep with tourmaline, malachite, green calcite. I have this big old bowl. It's a big black fossil-y bowl beside my bed with like tons of stones. And I don't always sleep with them or use them, but as soon as I hold certain ones, I feel that, I feel that, and so I can't, that's what I feel. And I don't always feel that, and I've gone to gem shows where there are massive stones, like, I mean, this tall, you know, of amethyst or whatever, you know. Yeah. And you know, this last show I was at, there was a lot of black tourmaline, and I just like sat in the corner with it for a while because I just needed it, because it actually absorbs negativity, it's clearing, it reduces EMFs, it does all this really cool stuff. I had like chunks of electromagnetic field. Okay. You know, toxic parts of that. Oh, okay. So I had big chunks of both of those, the malachite and the black tourmaline, in front of my computer too, because they both absorb the energy from that, so it's not so intense coming at me. You know, and the thing is, like, if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't matter. You know?
So do you think it's the energy of the stones, or do you think it's also, well, the reason I'm asking this question is because when I was going through a rough period in my life, and I was really trying to forgive someone, and one of my friends who's an acupuncturist gave me a stone, and I can't remember the name of it, but and to put by my bed, and it was the stone for forgiveness. And so it was wonderful, because what would happen is I would look at the stone before I went to bed, and I would look at that stone first thing when I woke up, and so it caused a loop in my brain. Yeah, and that's the way I see the gemstones in jewelry too. It's like, oh, you know, when this represents to me
expression or protection or energy or prosperity or clarity or purpose. And that will actually help me remember my own purpose. It's a material reminder of a spiritual purpose, So we have that reminder so that we can, besides our Post-its or whatever we put everywhere else, so we have that reminder so that we just remember, because we forget. Because we're so caught up in the logistics or helping other people or whatever that we don't remember. So it's just a really simple tool to use to actually access our intention.
Like a little talisman.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally.
So how do you how would you say you integrate the two, the jewelry and the coaching? Do you ever recommend certain jewelry pieces for your clients? Or certain stones, or?
I haven't. If they ask me, I will. It's more that I'm using the coaching with my customers. For my jewelry. Because I'm asking them empowering questions. I'm asking them questions that help them feel in touch with their intention or what they want in their life, or even what gift they want to give, what the meaning is they want to share with somebody in their life. So that's really the way I've kind of bridged it.
So helping them pick the right jewelry for them or that person.
Absolutely. And coaching is a lot about asking questions that are empowering and not getting caught in loops that disempower us. Like if I ask myself, why am I so unsuccessful, I'll get the answer to that in my brain. So if I ask myself, how can I be more successful, or how can I be more anything I want to be, then I can get the answer for that.
So that's why am I so awesome?
Sure.
Right.
How can I be more awesome? It's possible,
I know. So what would you how would you describe your personal mission? Like, what drives you?
So even when I was a teacher, and as a student, even years and years ago, I really felt like expression and helping others express is my main purpose. And it's funny because I'm a Taurus, and that's the Throat Chakra Association. I love turquoise. That's turquoise. Like everything about me is about expression and empowerment. And that's what both of them do. Both the jewelry and the coaching help empower. And right now, all my clients are women, and for everything. So it really is about, except men who buy jewelry for women, of course. And it's really about helping them feel in touch with their power more, and to remember it and have support for that. And so they both combine with. In both of them, the empowerment and the expression, with the jewelry and the coaching.
So how, I know you feel strongly about this, buying jewelry. Like what, what's your philosophy for buying your own jewelry? And what's your philosophy for people buying jewelry from you?
Or even for gifts too. I think it's really about intuition, honestly. And for yourself especially, and for a gift for somebody you know well. So if you are able to just vibe it, basically, to see, okay, especially if you're doing it in person, to see what it is that draws you, what catches your eye, and I've seen this happen in comic ways sometimes, where people will pick a stone over here, like one of them is prehnite. Prehnite is this light green stone. And it's about like healing grief and unconditional love, and people are often drawn to it, even if they don't like green, and so they'll resist it and be like, no, and they'll go to it over here and it'll be a different color of green, and they'll be like, what's this one? It's the same thing, So I've seen that quite a few times with certain stones, and so, just really trusting that and giving it to yourself, because and I have a lot of stones that can be worn on the body, so it can be worn against your throat or your wrist or a bracelet, or even a ring that can touch your fingers. So that's even more impactful because it's actually touching you. And then a ring is great too, because you actually see it. Like this ring that I have on is a Herkimer diamond, and a Herkimer diamond is not really a diamond. It's just shaped like a diamond. And it's found up north somewhere, and also in Mexico, and it's about like it's like self-soothing energy, self-love, and this ring finger is associated with the heart chakra, which is why a lot of times people wear their wedding bands or always, and their wedding bands on this finger. So on the right hand is like my marriage to myself, kind of like my commitment to myself, my own self-care, is this ring.
Okay.
And I usually don't wear rings on that finger, but I did this on purpose.
Well, you know, in Eastern Europe, that's actually where they wear their wedding ring.
Oh, really?
On the right hand.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
And I saw Arabic countries when people would wear a wedding ring on this finger until they were engaged, and then they were engaged actually, and then they push it over.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that happening.
Yeah. It's something special with that finger, then, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
When people, what's your philosophy on men buying jewelry for women?
Yeah, that's great. So I would suggest doing some research.
Yeah.
Noticing what she wears. Does she wear silver? Does she wear gold, or both?
Or does she wear jewelry?
Does she wear jewelry? Absolutely, because you can't change that with people. I've tried, trust me. So if she wears long earrings, short earrings, long, short, silver, gold, those are the biggest questions. Like kind of the size really is kind of the thing. Because people often will not switch. If they wear tiny earrings, they won't wear big ones. If they wear big ones, I cannot wear small earrings now.
Yeah.
This is like, I can't, maybe like, 75% of this, but I can't go shorter. It's just impossible for me.
I've gotten small earrings, and I mean, look, hello. So, I can't even hide, like, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
pay attention.
Yeah, it has to work for that person.
Yeah.
So you wanna get something that works for that person. So you can research, you can spy, look in the jewelry box if you're a husband, you see, okay, what's there. But really, you're just noticing what she wears,
Yeah, and women aren't always so subtle. They're like, hey, I really like this.
And you can ask her what she wants,
Yeah.
And last year, right before Christmas, it was like December 22nd, I had this guy call me. I have to get a gift certificate for my girlfriend. She wants a gift certificate. Are these earrings that we saw like 3 months ago that were here? And I was like, yeah. So I emailed him a gift certificate, and then I was actually already out of town. And then I emailed him a gift certificate. She came in like right after I got back in town. She was ready. She got what she wanted, how she wanted it, and she was really happy with it.
Yeah.
And she had to look forward to picking her jewelry out. So that totally works.
Yeah. Oh, I love gift certificates.
Yeah,
It's the gift of shopping.
Yeah, absolutely. Give the gift of shopping. I might use that. That's good. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Why were you drawn to jewelry?
I have no idea. It gets so shocking. My mom was like, I'm so surprised you became a jewelry designer. I'm like, I know. I had no idea how that happened.
Why did you think that? Did you just not wear jewelry that much before?
No, I wore jewelry.
Yeah.
I always wore jewelry, for sure. And actually, when I was growing up, my mom would say, oh, you let me leave the house naked. I don't have earrings in, So I always wear earrings at the southern, like,
You gotta have tons of jewelry.
But I still don't always wear necklaces. I wear earrings and rings, and that's my main thing. And I never wear bracelets ever, but I make them because people want them, so I have to remember to make them.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know how that happened. I think it was kind of a healing from being in academia. It was like the world of visual art and craft and groundedness is for me like a healing from the head.
Yeah.
And it helps me be my intuition and be my creativity, because I have to make choices that are very tangible. And in my writing and other creative pursuits, there's so many choices, it's like insane. But here it's like, okay, I can make it this long or this long or this long. Okay, just choose one.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really great practice for me to trust my intuition. So it's been a great healing for me. Trust my intuition, to trust my creativity, to move forward, and to help other people. What was the question?
I don't remember.
How did I get into jewelry?
Yeah.
It surprises me still, and I hope that the impact I'm having is worth it. I mean, I feel like people give me really good feedback. I wear this all the time. It's my favorite thing. Can you make this for my friend just like this? And those kind of things. And so I feel like, it's beyond me. Really, me making jewelry is beyond me, because it's not something I aspired to. Really, I didn't really plan it. Although when I was
your way of giving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in my 20s, when I was an art student and photography and all that kind of stuff, I remember thinking, almost even kind of just knowing, when I'm in my 40s, I'll make art.
Oh,
and that's what's happening. And so I didn't know it would be jewelry. I thought it would be painting, you know. So it's kind of interesting. You never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't.
And I felt very, very guided, like very guided jewelry. Like that was my business for 4 years. And then this past year I've put energy into coaching again.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like I had this one kid. I was taking care of this one kid. I had birthed this jewelry business. And, you know, I wasn't planning on getting pregnant kind of thing either, right? You know, it was just kind of, okay, here's this thing, it's coming out, you know.
Yeah.
So here I had this jewelry business, and I felt very compelled to take care of it and nurture it completely and not spread my energy thin. And then the coaching thing started happening, and I wanted that to happen, and so I'm glad that it has, and I think it's a great marriage too of those two things.
Yeah.
Not that brother and sister are getting married or anything.
So I want to get into in your journey as an entrepreneur.
Sure.
So far, what are the biggest successes that you've had?
You know,
that have meant the most to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just went on a trip to New York to see my best friend, and it was such a great trip. And because I had been nurturing this business, and it was so young for so many years now, since I've been in Asheville. I hadn't had that space to take a trip just for fun. I'd only done trips for business and shows, and so it was just so great to have like a spa day and just really be with my friend and hang out. And it was very rejuvenating. And I want to be able to create my lifestyle in a way that works for me, that sustains me, and that models the leadership of a balance for other women, and not in the, you know, go, go, go kind of mode.
Yeah.
So that I can be more in touch with natural cycles of my world and not so, like, focused on the external only.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about this earlier, and you told me that the best thing about being on vacation was that your jewelry was getting sold.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in shops,
absolutely.
and you have a
See, I already forgot about that.
A studio mate. Yes, it's just like becoming the normal.
Yeah, so my studio mate was selling work for me while I was gone, so I'm at the movies in New York, and I see a transaction go through.
Yeah.
And that happened a few times, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Nice.
And like the day after I moved into my studio with her, I went out to Florida for like 3 days. And so I've had more vacations this year than I've had in like the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And nothing, like, I haven't been to Europe lately or anything like that, but just like these little things are so great. And that's what I've been wanting the whole time, is to create my business in a way that it can go on without me, at least temporarily. And eventually I'd like to have more of that happening, so I can go for long periods of time and have more support in my
passive
business.
income. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. All about passive income.
Yeah.
And what have been some of your biggest challenges to getting to this point?
Biggest challenges, I would say the financial aspects of being in business for myself without capital for the beginning. I did cash in my retirement from teaching, which didn't take me very far, but it bought a lot of beads. So I think that's been the hardest thing, is just, riding those waves and showing up for my business, and also having faith that it was going to work out. I just had this experience right when I got back from New York, where or right before I went to New York. And it was the autumn leaves here in Asheville, and I was on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I went on this trail that I hadn't been on in a while, but it was the first trail I hiked on after I moved here. And I was thinking about when I first moved here, I was living with a roommate in a 800 square foot apartment. My bedroom was the size of my closet now, and my studio was in my living room.
Yes.
And with a roommate.
And,
sometimes our boyfriend. It was like, and so it was kind of there's a lot going on. And she was so great. Like, she's still great. And so I just, I I prioritized keeping my expenses low, driving an old car, living cheaply at the time, not using any credit cards, because I just knew I've done that before and in a business years ago, and I know that is not what I needed right now, because you just had to pay back more of it later.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even sure enough in what I was doing to like take that risk. So the risk was just like bootstrapping, carrying myself along. And that was the hardest part. And that's also the most awesome part in a way, because I have no debt.
Yeah.
So now when I'm actually making money, when I'm gone,
I'm making
money.
You.
Yeah. And so it's really worth it. And just what I was saying about the hiking was that I was reflecting back on where I've come from and where I was then and where I'm at now, and I was like, I felt like I was riding the bike, like, no hands, look, I'm riding the bike, there's no hands.
I did it!
Yeah, and it was a little bit emotional, because I was like, wow, it worked. Like, I trusted my intuition, I followed my guidance, and it's happening, and it's working, and I'm very grateful.
Well, yay.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm very happy.
Thanks.
So what is your philosophy of failure? Because all us entrepreneurs, we fail. Yeah.
And I think, let me talk about craft shows, for example. So my first 2 or 3 years, I did a ton of craft shows, like a ton. Like from like May through October, even to December, I was doing 1 to 3 a month.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
And it's a lot. And if you've ever done one, like my car was completely full of my 75-pound tent and all my bins of stuff the whole time. My Honda Accord, actually. It's a really old Honda Accord, and it's just full of stuff,
Yeah.
And it was full all the time. From like, I would have my car loaded up the whole 6 months or more. And I was always doing shows, and the shows are so interesting because they're a lot of physical labor. It was really fun getting to know a lot of artists. That was my favorite part of it in some ways. And I had to get out there and make money because I didn't have a studio. I didn't have a lot of stores yet. I didn't have a name for myself. I didn't even know who would buy what and what people would buy and what the prices were. Like, I was learning everything. I had done a lot of research and read a lot of stuff and taken workshops and yada yada, but I still had a lot to learn. And so that was my wax on, wax off Karate Kid kind of thing.
Yeah, we were talking about Karate Kid.
because I was learning, and I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
And so, I would go to the same show downtown Asheville weeks apart or a year apart and make 10 times difference.
Yeah.
Like this week I barely paid my fee and I didn't pay for my food at all. But then the next time, the next week or the next year at the same show, I can make 10 times what I had made.
Each time you learn a new lesson. Yeah.
Well, but it wasn't even just the lessons. The lesson also was that you can't predict shows.
Yeah.
It's like there's weather, there's like so many other events, like there's so many factors every time. But then I burned out on shows. Okay, the next thing I want to do is get a studio. So I got a studio. Yeah. And it was a stretch for me.
Yeah.
It was a very big stretch for me to get a studio and to pay that rent every month. But I was paying show stuff, so I just kind of replaced that for it. And then I moved to another studio. And then I moved to another studio. So I'm on my third studio in this building where Maggie's at too, actually, in Riverview Station.
Yeah.
And it's evolved. And I think that those choices I made, okay, I really had to stop doing shows. Like, I don't want to do a show. Yeah. And now I can't even look at my tent. It's in storage in my house, and I can't look at it. I'm just like, no. And I set that intention, 2 years ago, and I haven't pulled it out.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And so I'm very, very, very grateful that I gave it all the time it needed. I built my email list along the way.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that I did to kind of prepare myself for the next thing I wanted to move toward.
Yeah.
Which is always, I think, important to be moving. And not so much just the money. Absolutely not. It's like, what's the lifestyle you want to have?
Yeah. That's what I tell artists when they're starting out, when they ask me, like, how should I sell? I'm like, you have to decide what your personality is like and how you operate best with your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I had a client recently ask me if she should do all these social media things. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about social media? I hate it. I'm like, no way. Do not do it.
Yeah.
Like, pick the one you like the most.
Yeah.
And do that. But then, I have one, I know somebody who, she's a therapist, and she built her practice in 6 months by going out and being a new person every weekday.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't use social media. She didn't use SEO on her website. Mm-hmm. She didn't do any of those things. She did what works for her. And it's a great example of just leveraging your strength and not trying to do something that's inauthentic for you.
Right.
You know, it's all about the authenticity.
Yeah.
And I'm a people person.
Yeah.
So I like being at shows if I'm not freezing and I'm, you know, if I'm making some money, you know. But now I like being in my studio and being warm or cool.
Yeah.
And being able to work and do all these things and have hot tea, fresh, you know.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, okay, I have to go pee and I have to go get some tea, but I can't leave because, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's the luxury now to have that, you know.
See,
and to be able to leave my studio half the week. My studio mate's there. We have someone else covering. Also, it's like, it's like such an amount of freedom. I can do my coaching practice now too to build that more.
Yeah. I'm the total opposite. I'm an introvert. So shows for me are like hell.
Yeah. Because
I'm like think of fields. Like in between customers. Think of ducks flying overhead.
Wow,
I'd much rather do social media.
Yeah. And you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're all over Pinterest lately, especially.
Absolutely. So cool. So what is the best advice you got when you were starting out?
You know, I have to say that, well, I've had a lot of advice from business trainings in California for business. Mm-hmm. But as far as, you know, I think one of the most important things about business is pricing. Mm. I really do. I think pricing and pricing craft is a really specific art. There's a certain formula that works in everything. Mm-hmm. And I've heard the same formula 2 different ways from 2 different sources that I really trusted. And that feeling confident in that really impacted me. Because I can I feel like, oh yeah, that's the price. I know what it is. I know it's worth. Like, you know, this is the way, you know, it's really great. And that really is huge, you know. And even with my coaching too, like being able to price things in a way that works for my clients, my market, and also gives me the lifestyle that I want is everything. And being able to own that instead of stay in that, you know. Yeah. I'm surprised that that's my thing that I wanted to share, but it is. You know, it's really huge. Not to under-earn, you know, or overcharge. We're not there
yet.
And
under-earn,
and you're not getting enough clients. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you, you and I talk about a lot about new technology, or at least I talk about a lot about new technology, and Jen comments. How do you think, because you're like 41, I'm 39, so we're at that awkward age where we didn't grow up with all this. Like, I didn't have a cell phone until I was in grad school. Like,
me too.
So, like, there was no internet growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, so kids in their 20s are just like, just get on it.
There was no cordless phone when we were growing up, you know?
Well, my mom was actually the first person in our town to have, in our city to have a.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've got some really funny stories. What I was going to say is it's been a huge learning curve for us. Is what how would you say you've embraced technology to build your business?
Yeah, I want to mention that my grandmother was the first person I knew had email. She was a teacher. She was a teacher, like a resource teacher in a school in Tennessee, and she always had computers. She had Macs. She'd bring it home to her house in the summer. I would use it all the time and hang out. So she was always a pioneer in technology to me. So I'm not really super techie, I think, but I'm also tech support for some friends. Yeah. And so you know, it's interesting because I feel like it's such a second, you know, where that phrase is, where it's just so commonplace to me now that I don't think about it. But, you know, I knew when I started this coaching, my jewelry business, that I needed help with technology. I needed somebody to do my website, because that was the one thing I invested in. Instead of paying rent or paying for whatever, I was like, okay, I need to put money into marketing and in my website specifically. So I hired somebody to do all that and do really good search engine optimization. Yeah. And that's still paying off. Yeah. And so that's really great. And so that's one way, and I want to do more of that. And, you know, and social media in general is great. You know, I've had a lot of people I stay in touch with for my whole life, like thousands of friends, and people who I know from doing other online courses and things like that too, that I don't actually know, but I've interacted with. Yeah. And so that's really great. So people can see what's happening. They can be in touch with what's going on. If something strikes their eye, they can take it and get it. It's great to be in touch with those people and for them to be in touch with what I'm doing.
Don't you have like life coach clients that you've never met? You just talk over
Absolutely.
the phone?
Yeah, in other states across the country.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
Yeah, so they it's really fun because so I use the phone is even technology, you know? And I have clients on the phone. I can do Skype, Zoom, all those kinds of things with clients, and so that's really nice too. And I just take it for granted,
Yeah.
And they found me on the web.
Yeah.
So there's one client I've been working with for 2 years, and she found me online, and she's been working with me for 2 years, and she's in another state. So. Yeah.
Cool.
So those are simple ways that I use technology, and I'm on technology all the time, I feel like. So, and here we are making a video,
For YouTube.
So.
What do you think the key to your success has been so far?
My intuition. And following guidance, because it's not what I really expected in some ways, the jewelry business, I identify more as a coach, really, but I love both of them, and I love how they interact, like you said. So yeah, trusting your gut, and I would say not getting ahead of myself, like not using my credit cards, stuff like that, and letting myself be where I'm at in my business, where I'm at, and being clear, like how much money do I have? How much money can I spend on this? And I learned the hard way sometimes, like I bought too many beads, not had enough money for metal.
Yeah.
Okay, how am I going to work this
that's
out?
Kind of funny. Yeah.
So it always worked out, but so that's the biggest one, the intuition, and then getting help. Like asking for help, using the resources that are available to you, because I didn't know everything. I had never had a product-based business before, a craft-based business, and so I had a lot to learn. And I learned from mentors and other people who are doing that kind of thing, and tons of online and paper resources. So
cool.
Yeah.
And our last question: what advice would you give to young creative entrepreneurs out there?
Follow your gut. Do what feels good. If you want to make it a business, make it a business, which means learn how to do business. And that includes doing bookkeeping and having accounting support, doing the numbers, doing a business plan. If you're really creative and a business plan freaks you out, then do the Right Brain Business Plan by Jennifer Lee. There's a couple of books she's written on that. And if planning ahead too far scares you, then do quarterly goals and quarterly plans so they can just plan 3 months ahead, especially if you're in a new business, because you're going to learn so much as you go along. You're going to make more reasonable goals. And get a community of people who are involved in Asheville, for example, the River Arts District is a huge community of people who are involved in arts, and there's lots of resources there. And there's so many resources if you just look for them. And I give a free half-hour coaching session too, so that's available to you as well. So you just schedule my jenaleycoaching.com site, and get support, intuition, and trust your guidance.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for chatting.
You're
with me
welcome.
today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye, everyone.